those of us who create videos are always looking for new ways to engage with our audience. You know, YouTube comments just doesn't do it. Doesn't get you involved, doesn't get you active. And today we're going to see Big Live, which gets you involved in the video process by chatting and doing other things. Who are you?
First, Robert, thanks very much for having us here. My name is Jon Zakin. I'm the president, CEO, and co-founder of Big Live, which we started about 2.5 years ago. Prior to that, I ran a small storage company for some venture capital friends of mine called CleverSafe in Chicago. I had been the president and CEO of a wireless roll-up called Proxim in the Valley. And before that, I was one of the 3 people that was leading US Robotics, the modem company.
So what is Big Live?
So Big Live is a synchronous video platform. It's a social network built around the idea of sharing experience around viewing content that you enjoy with other people. And we've looked out there at the other video platforms that have put basically a chat room next to a player, and they approach that problem through the player side. We approached it through the social networking side, and we built a social network around that. And so as a result, you have a very, very immersive social experience around this content. And then we built a widget to allow content providers to embed that experience into other sites or their own site to expand the reach and stickiness of their content.
So if we were to put one of these on Building 43, what would the experience look like to one of our visitors?
Mm-hmm. So you would embed the Big Live experience through an iframe that would go onto your blog or onto your site. When they came onto your site, they would see everybody that was viewing that content at the same time that they were viewing the content. So you would see the entire audience. You can roll your mouse over the audience and go to their profile and see who they are, what they've watched before, any of the demographic information that they have on Facebook, because we import all that information from Facebook.
So when I first view, or if I want to join the chat, I have to sign in with Facebook?
You sign in through Facebook Connect.
Okay.
Yeah. You can watch content without signing in, but if you want to socially interact, you have to sign in.
Yeah.
The important thing for us is that the crowd become relevant and the crowd become known, so there's no anonymous socializing on the site, but you can view anonymously if you wanted to.
So Facebook is required, and that way everybody has the same rules that Facebook requires: a real name and a social graph that you can click on and see.
Exactly, okay. Exactly. So you would see everybody on the site that's watching with you. You could then sort on the crowd to make that crowd relevant to you. So you can say, I want to see only the people that are my age, that live in my city, that are not my friends on Facebook, that are male or female. So you can sort on age, location, and gender, and whether or not they're Facebook friends of yours. Once you do that, you can begin to interact with them in real time around that synchronous video experience, either through group chat or through a one-on-one chat. So if you find somebody in the crowd that you're interested in talking to, you can take them offline, chat with them that way. We're trying to emulate going to an event, turning to the person next to you and saying, hey, this is very cool, and do that. And then you can also experience a host if you went on, and if the content provider wanted to add experiential component to their content, they could add a host, and a host chats across the platform.
So Lady Gaga could have a channel with 10,000 people watching. Now, I don't see all those 10,000 people as a regular viewer, but she could talk to 10,000 people, right?
Right. So you would actually be able to page through 10,000 people if you wanted to, but the sort function is to eliminate that.
Got it.
So when you say there's 10,000 people here, that's not so relevant to me. You can't chat with 10,000 people. That experience would just be a blip. And so what we do is we create very small chat rooms, and the chat rooms are generally about 25 people each. So a 25,000 event with Lady Gaga would have 1,000 chat rooms. And while you and I chat in our little vertical 25-person room, we can have a conversation because that's small enough of a venue to have a conversation. If we don't like what is going on in that room, we can switch rooms until we find a room that we like. So we're going to have a good chat experience. But Lady Gaga can chat across all the rooms. And so anybody in any of the rooms can hear what Lady Gaga is saying. We're just chatting in our room and we move around as we like to. So there's a people surfing functionality associated with the site as well.
Could I go back to Facebook and invite all my Facebook friends to come into a specific room,
Exactly.
which would get bigger than 25, right? So it would I would be able to chat with 25 of my friends who showed up first or something like that.
Right. And so what you do is we have a functionality so you can shout out to Twitter followers, and it gives them you get a bit.ly code that can click on it and bring you into the event. Or when you want to invite your Facebook friends, we go onto Facebook, we see who is actually on Facebook at the time, and you send them a text message or a chat, a Facebook chat that invites them to the event. I'm watching Lady Gaga. Come join me. There's a link. They click on it. They come to the event.
Got it.
They would then sort on their friends, find you, and click on you and go into your room. Right now, you would be limited to 25 or 30 people in the event, but what we're developing in the future will be the ability to create variable size rooms, so you could have more people if you wanted in your what we call virtual skybox.
Okay. How do you guys make money on this? Because I understand how I make money as a content producer, but how do you guys make money?
It really depends on the strategy and goals of the content provider. So for premium content providers that want to charge money for either the experience of the super chatter, in other words, content is free, but if you want to watch it with Lady Gaga, it's 99 cents, or who want to charge as a pay-per-view, then we get a percentage of that pay-per-view. So it's so much similar to Amazon On Demand. You would click on it, you could invite your friends to come because it's video on demand or broadcast or live, and we would get a percentage of that. For advertising-driven content, we would either get a hosting fee or so much per thousand, or we would get a percentage of the advertising. And our goal of being able to distribute the content around the web is to really extend the viewership of the content for the content provider and for the advertiser.
Okay. You cover a little bit about moderation because with chat rooms, people go nuts and try to post all sorts of naughty content as well as just derail the conversation off of what it's supposed to be. Are there moderation tools, or do you just count on the fact that everybody's a real person on Facebook to sort of keep the comments under control?
It's a really good question, because that was one of the things we noticed when people are anonymous, is that they're more likely to act in that sort of behavior. There tends to be a fairly strong community aspect in the chat room, so there's peer pressure to not be, a disruptive force in the experience, can you say? And then, of course, you can always leave. But basically, the chat room is unmoderated.
Okay. And the videos are not the video itself can be YouTube or Ustream, or can it be any kind of video, or does it have to be your video on your platform?
Right. So we've embedded YouTube and Bright Cove, and we will be embedding more players as well. But basically, any embeddable video, we can wrap our big live social experience around, and then embed that combined experience back to the content provider site.
Cool. Does this work on iOS devices like iPad as well?
Not yet, but it will work on iPad. Our experience gets better as the screen gets bigger as opposed to smaller. Right. And so we're moving more towards the web-enabled television sets and to move into that respect.
Yeah, but I'm going to be doing a lot of chatting while I'm watching this big screen that I'm putting up here, right? And I'm doing that on a tablet, and so iPad is really an important.
Yeah, the tablets are actually have a large enough real estate. The cell phones are actually become, in some respects, an input device to the larger screen. So you would text in your comments, but you could see it on.
So when are you announcing an iPad version of this then, so that I could view a video and chat with my friends on my iPad?
There will be, but it's not our initial priority.
Okay. And how are you? Tell me about some of the fundamentals of the company. How are you guys funded? How do I know that you're not going away tomorrow?
Well, we've had one round of financing so far. Myself, some friends, and a few outside investors have put money in as well. We've been in a soft launch for about 3 or 4 months now, and we've broadcast a few fairly high-profile events. We broadcast the Tribeca Film Festival, we broadcast the Gotham Independent Film Awards, And so we've had a number of events out there. We've just begun with the widget. And with the widget, which is going to be out actually this week, we will we will develop a really strong, a much more strong marketing launch. And that's also where we're going out to raise our next round of financing.
Yeah, and that's where I would expect to start seeing it on a lot of sites, because you can just embed that onto an existing page, right?
Exactly. And we can provide a two-screen solution for content providers that don't want to drive traffic away from, say, their television show to their web. We can embed just the chat engine and the community aspects of the chat around that.
Got it. What are you learning from this? The widget hasn't been out yet, so you haven't had the usage data to see whether it increases time on page by X, but I have a feeling you've tested it a little bit.
Yeah, well, the first thing we've learned is it's very difficult to create a destination site, and that we really want to go where the traffic is as opposed to have the traffic come to us. Yeah. And we've repositioned the company really to be more of a social enabler of content providers as opposed to a destination site and be consumer facing, although there is clearly a Big Live site and people can go on it. We've learned a lot about crowd behavior and how people interact around content.
How so? What do you learn? Give me some ideas.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, the crowd and friends, as you would expect, are very significant reference engines. When you go onto our guide, you don't only see what's playing, but you see who's online. So this content has X number of thousands of people and 20 of my friends are there. This content has this number of people and some of my friends are there. Your friends and the size of the crowd tend to trump your initial viewing desires. Yeah. So you'll go on the site to watch X, but you say, oh, my friends are there, I'll watch Y instead. Yeah. So the idea of someone like Amazon or Netflix, where they say, well, your friend watched this 2 days ago, you should watch it. We're more like, your friend's there now, you should join them. Yeah. And that becomes a very, very powerful reference engine. So we think that as as this thing becomes more distributed and as traffic builds, the social aspects of the site will take on some kind of a life of their own, because the social experiences are really a function of the size of the community. Very
cool. If I'm Lady Gaga, what can I learn from using your system? Do I get additional stats, or do I get a dashboard to see who's showing up and who's using it and who's sticking around?
Yeah, there's a lot of analytics that we generate. So we know not just who's on, obviously, but we know all the demographic information. And we know one more piece of information that people don't have, and that's the other things that people watched on Big Live. And again, as it gets distributed, we can build relationships between different types of content. So we can go to Lady Gaga and say something like, well, 60% of the people that watched your content also watched this fashion show. Yeah. And that becomes really important for content providers as well as for advertisers. It's a very, very broad base of analytics that we provide to the content providers.
Ooh, that's interesting. Can I, on the experience, can I put additional content that people can view, like associated, like could I put Kesha on her page and then Elton John, and can you track that people went through, who people clicked on and what services they went to?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We track everything, and we know where you entered the site from as well. Okay. So everyone is still on Big Live. It's an iframe. We're just entering Big Live through different portals, but we know where you've entered from.
Yeah.
So our goal is for the content provider to upload their content to Big Live, copy the embed code on their site, and then anybody else who wants to embed it can embed it, again. And so you can begin to really develop reach, and we can become somewhat of a chat aggregating mechanism around the web.
Very cool. Well, I can't wait to try it. Where do I learn more about it?
www.biglive.com.
And are you on Twitter and Facebook as well?
Yes, absolutely.
So twitter.com/BigLive?
Twitter.com/BigLive and Big Live on Facebook.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Robert, thank you very much. Pleasure.